Yo, so today we're going to be drawing Bad Bunny. Remember, this isn't a realistic drawing, this is just my style. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, I first found out about Bad Bunny on Instagram, and I think I saw him on an Explore page, or I was scrolling through like Hypebeast or something, some music related Instagram account. And they had mentioned Bad Bunny amongst other artists. And when I saw him, I just saw him as this goofball. I thought he was a parody rapper, honestly, one of those parody mumble rappers. And so to me, I just saw him as a funny looking person. And that was pretty much it. It didn't invite me to explore his music any further. So I kind of just left it at that. So fast forward about a year later, I was with this girl at the time, and she had sent me one of his songs, La Difícil, and I thought it was cool, but it wasn't enough to get me to really dive into Bad Bunny's catalog. But what it did is that it allowed me to listen to a side of Latin music that I wasn't really into at the time, because a lot of the Latin music that I was listening to was either old school or people like Rosalia or Caliuchis. But I never listened to more than that. I was listening to people like Omar Apollo, Karol G, but these are pop artists that I was actually interested in. Artists like J Balvin, Bad Bunny, these were artists that kind of fell to the wayside. A lot of the Latin music that I was listening to at the time kind of, or at least the ones that I wasn't really that interested in, were just ones that kind of came to me through the grapevine, or just people playing in their cars and the background, but not enough to get me to be like, yo, who is that? I got to find out who that is. But it wasn't until 2022 that came around where this other girl that I was talking to at the time sent me a song from his newest album at the time, which was Un Verano Sin Ti. And I thought, whatever song it was, I thought it was incredible because it was enough to get me to listen to his album. And that album was almost the soundtrack to my summer of 2022. Like, I was listening to a lot of that album, and I thought it was incredible. So it was enough to get me to be excited to, man, that plane in the background, that's crazy. But anyway, it was enough to get me to want to know what he's going to put out next. And I mean, with songs like Ojitos Lindos, I mean, that is the song that essentially got me to want to know whatever Bad Bunny's going to put out next. And so with Pasar Mañana, that project didn't really do it for me. And I was never a huge Bad Bunny fan. I mean, Benito's cool, but like, to me, he's no Gene Dawson or ASAP Rocky, Alex G. Like, I mean, these are some of my favorite artists, and for me, Benito is kind of just this artist that I listened to and liked one project by him. But then came his newest project. I think personally, Debí Tirar Más Fotos is probably his best project to date. And I say that because with Un Verano Sin Ti, like, that project, and I think a lot of his projects, exhibit this sense of hedonism and toxicity that, while it's cool, I can definitely vibe to that. I think Mas Fotos does a better job at expressing this idea of who, Benito, or at least understanding him as an artist. I feel does a better job with Mas Fotos than, Sin Ti. Like, I think and I mean, watching his interviews and understanding the making of this project, I think he even says it, right? Like, he says that he essentially went to the drawing board, or like went back to his roots. And I think that for any artist is the key to making great music. Looking deep within yourself, looking at your history, your makeup of who you are is essentially what makes your music profound. At least for me, I think. And I think for me, he never really came across as someone that took music seriously, at least from my perspective. And of course, I'm not very fluent in Spanish, so especially Puerto Rican Spanish. I mean, that is crazy. But like, yeah, he never exhibited this artist really. He it seemed very much like he was a partier. But with this project and just hearing him and understanding him more, I've just become more of a fan than I think I would have ever become had he not ever made Mas Fotos. And when I say that it seemed like he wasn't taking his music seriously, I mean, I think on some level he has to be taking his music seriously in order to put it out. I just mean that it didn't seem like he was interested in making thought provoking music. It seemed like he was just more interested in making hits. And that's kind of what, while I do like the hits, the music is a bop. I mean, it bangs. For me personally, I'm just more interested in thought-provoking lyricism and unpacking the lyrics of Mas Fotos the best I can with my limited knowledge in Spanish, and then also like getting researching this and researching the project, understanding what each song was about. It just becomes clear that, yeah, he actually cares about making music, which is only going to make me a greater fan. And so I think, all in all, I just really appreciate him as an artist. I'm really excited to see, and I'm actually more excited to further unpack this project, Mas Fotos specifically. I'm very interested in just, yeah, unveiling and unraveling his life story, and so I'm only going to be more excited to hear about an artist that cares about his artistry and his background as much as he does. Then also, one thing I appreciated about that approach to his album is it reminds me a lot of what I appreciate about being, or appreciate about my background, because I'm Ghanaian. And there was a point in my life where I just didn't care as much. I think that happens with a lot of first generation Americans. You come to this country and you kind of adopt the culture that you're inundated with. And then you almost forget where where your heritage comes from. And I think everybody goes through that period where they're like, no, I want to know my heritage. I want to know where I come from. I don't come from this place that I'm living in. I have a whole background in a different country. Let me go explore that, And so I have so much respect for anybody that does that. And it only makes me want to implement that more into my art, So, yeah, Bad Bunny, Benito, you killed it. Loved it. But yeah, so this is my Bad Bunny drawing. Let me know if you guys liked it. Also, let me know what other artists you want me to do. I got Peggy coming next, Childish Gambino, Doechii. And yeah, I just want to talk about artists, man. I love music. I love talking about it. And I love talking about the artists that make it. So, yeah, let me know. But this is it. And I'll see you in the next one.